There has been much criticism levelled against the country's justice system following the sentencing of owners of the Enyobeni Tavern at the East London Magistrate Court on Friday. The court sentenced the owners fines of 5,000 rand each or 100 days in prison for selling or supplying liquor to minors. The couple were found guilty of selling alcohol to minors in a tragic incident that resulted in the death of 21 young people. In June 2022, 12 girls and 9 boys aged between 13 and 17 years lost their lives after a night of celebrating the end of mid-year exams. The National Prosecuting Authority says it will not be appealing the sentence. Eastern Cape's NPA regional spokesperson, Luxolo Tyali, joins us to discuss this. Luxolo, thank you. Thanks for your time and welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning and good evening to your viewers at home.
So we need to, a lot of viewers sort of questioning this and saying how is it possible? But the reality is that what we're talking about is the fact that the couple have been sentenced for selling alcohol to underage to minors. That was the story, and that is exactly what the sentence is saying. So what does the law say about this matter?
Yes, that is correct. They were charged for contravening the Eastern Cape Liquor Act. In this, the complainant was the Eastern Cape Liquor Board because they had violated the license that was given to them by the Liquor Board. The case that we were prosecuting in this matter was for them contravening that the license by selling liquor to underage children. That act provides for the court to sentence someone up to 5 years or give them a fine.
Yeah.
The prosecution had submitted in court that these two people were not remorseful. They actually have a total disregard of the law, and we asked the court to sentence them to the maximum of 5 years. But the court decided otherwise and gave them a fine, which is within their right.
Okay, so let's talk about this exact issue. The couple did show disdain in court. They failed to show remorse, as you yourself have just said. So the NPA have decided to not appeal this, even though you did ask for the maximum sentence. Why have you decided to back down on this? What did the magistrate perhaps consider in the sentencing to arrive at this point?
The magistrate did mention a number of things, including the fact that the two did not actively sell the liquor to the children. They were found guilty of vicariously taking part because their institution or their establishment sold liquor to children, but they were not there selling liquor on the night, the two people. So that's what the magistrate took into account, which we felt that we don't have a leg to stand on in terms of going for an RPA, because it is the fact that they were not selling the liquor. We couldn't prove that they sold liquor themselves. It is the people that they employed who sold liquor to the children.
Yeah, so you mean that is actually taken into account, even though they own the establishment and every responsibility should land on their shoulders that liquor was sold to minors. So the fact that they physically did not actually go and give it to the minors themselves with their hands, this means that they would get the most minimum sentence. And at the end of the day, 21 lives have been lost here. Yes,
the case that relates to the lives of the 21 children is still going for an inquest that is due to be in the Tanzania Magistrate Court on the 29th. That one, investigations were done, but the investigation could not conclusively point to someone who can be held criminally liable for the death of these children, which is why the Director of Public Prosecutions took a decision for a magistrate to hold an inquest, which is aimed at finding who should be prosecuted for the deaths of the children.
Yeah.
So the book or the chapter is not closed in as far as having someone being prosecuted for the deaths of the children.
Okay.
This case was just about the violation of the Liquor Act.
So may I ask you this, is there still a possibility that a heavier sentence or that the owners of this tavern may still face other consequences or charges with this inquest still carrying on?
Yes, remember the inquest is going to look at a number of things. There is no accused person in the inquest. it is more of an inquiry. So anyone who has evidence can bring it forward. Then the magistrate will reach a conclusion as to whether someone should be held criminally liable. That is where we'll be playing our part as a prosecution. As soon as that has been found and there's evidence that points at someone who violated or who broke the law, then we will prosecute that person. So we want to urge the public to be patient and give time, because this is not a simple case. It is very difficult. Even the police had difficulties in investigating the matter, which is why we could not have enough evidence to charge someone. Yeah. Now, this lack of an inquest is meant to ensure that justice is served.
And indeed it is. Another question that I think is important is that are the parents, if they come together, these 21 parents or however many parents are prepared to get involved in this, could they bring civil proceedings against the owners of this tavern as well?
Yes, that is something that they can, as parents, pursue, but remember that would be a civil matter, which NPA won't have a role to play in. Yeah. So I wouldn't like to venture into that.
Indeed.
Because our role is limited in the criminal side.
My question to you is, I mean, as early as late last year, you still heard parents that were talking out against, what happened at this Enyobeni Tavern, and one can call it a massacre. 21 children dead between the ages of 13 and 17. It is a tragedy on another level, and yet some parents still, well, not some parents, all parents still don't have answers to this. In fact, they were never ever given the autopsy results. Can we talk about these autopsy results? Why were they withheld from the parents?
Remember, the autopsy and the other information that has been collected so far is still the custodian of such information is still the investigating officer. Because in this matter, there's no conclusivity in as far as saying this is the person who should be charged. So it is standard practice that whatever is contained in the docket or part of the investigation is kept by the police until it has been used in the court of law. So for now, it would be premature to hand over the autopsy results because it's still part of the investigation. Yeah. It would defeat the whole purpose of even having an inquest if the information or the evidence is given to anyone.
It's hard, I imagine, as a parent to understand this and to still know that almost 2 years later you still have absolutely no idea why your child died, what led to the circumstances, and then you still have to swallow a pill that says that those that own the tavern have just been given literally a slap on the wrist and walk away with this. May I ask you this question? Are there any other terms attached to the owners of the tavern's sentence? I mean, is their license revoked, for example, or are they able to open up their business and carry on as always and sell liquor?
The Eastern Cape Liquor Board revoked their license as early as 2022, and the establishment has been closed down. It is not selling liquor anymore. I think they've opened another business that I'm not sure about. Yeah. So that is what is attached in that license. And the liquor board, which issues the licenses, would be in a better position to say what other actions are they taking. But on our side, we are still open to investigations, and we're still ready to pursue a criminal case against anyone when the evidence arises and can show that that person should be held criminally liable.
Yeah. Just a final question as I let you go. I mean, a lot of people and some families are feeling that that these families have been failed by justice, and that this has all been just left alone, because this is a huge letdown by the justice system for an example that perhaps hasn't been set. That, it's okay, you can sell alcohol, but as long as you don't give it to them and you do, the reality is that it is a crime to sell alcohol to underage children. And yet I know that the liquor license has been revoked, but they're now involved in another business and you're not too sure what it is. Do you not feel there are too many unanswered questions here, and especially taking into account the couple are not showing remorse, and this may happen again?
Yes, what we need to also to commend is the fact that the prosecution was able to find these people to secure conviction when they were saying and maintaining that they were not responsible for selling liquor on that day. Yeah. So they have a criminal record.
Okay.
And we had called for a stiffer sentence, but unfortunately, the magistrate felt otherwise.
All right. Okay.
Now, there's still these unanswered questions that we are hoping that the inquest will be able to provide answers so that there can be closure at the end of the day.
All right, we'll have to leave it there, but thank you. Thanks for responding to this. Eastern Cape's NPA regional spokesperson, Luxolo Tyali, talking about the sentence handed down on the East London Magistrate Court on Friday, sentencing the owners to 5,000 rand each or 100 days in prison for selling or supplying liquor to minors.